Okay, you hear my cat. I'm sorry. I doubt Discord picks that up, but she's like right by the mic. Purring
No.
loudly.
Nothing. Sounds good.
Sweet.
We're back. Welcome back to video games.
Now, on to global warming. Is it real? Because it's cold.
Give it. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. This is exactly how we should start this. Give me your take on global warming, Crosslead. Is it real?
Experts say yes.
Okay. Well, then
Doubters say no.
Okay.
Who to believe?
To me, there you have it. Honestly, I mean, I think it's basically it's already done. Experts say yes, then it is. That's all you need.
The data says yes.
Yeah. You're listening to the Infinite Scale podcast. This different roster this week. So we were planning to do game of the year stuff. We had set this up, got the categories ready. I think most of us probably have our lists, although a lot could change in a week. So maybe some stuff will shuffle around between now and then. But we have not seen each other's lists, I should say. Although Merced did send me his, but I did not look at it. I don't think I'm going to look at it, even though I am curious. But we were going to record that, and then Merced's not feeling well, so let's. I said, let's just get something out there. I mean, there's been a lot going on.
Yes.
I think. I'm
honestly, I'm kind of glad this is happening, just because I have stuff I want to talk about that's unrelated to the stuff we're scheduled to talk about. So it works out in a way for me personally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think I was looking forward to getting that out there, but also there's things happening that are that merit discussion. Let's say that
my cat's eating my headphones.
I think that's good. That's part of a balanced diet, actually. And it's good for the headphone. Like you actually, those cords are really stifling in terms of the flow of the electrical current. What you really want is that to get out of the headphone. And then you get, more noise.
Yeah.
So I think the obvious place to start is the Switch, right? I mean, is that
that's fine.
Does that seem
sure?
Okay. Switch 2.
Yeah.
They're just calling it Switch 2.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you?
I do.
You like it?
I do like it because I like the implication that they found something that they want to elevate further, take it to the next. It's like, oh shit, this is the one that we're going to do the sequel to it. It makes me wonder, will there be a Switch 3? Is this actually their thing for the foreseeable future? Have they found their thing? Xbox is going to keep making Xboxes. We're going to keep seeing PlayStations. Is it going to be Switches for a while? And maybe Switch 3 is way crazier in the handheld department, whereas I'm assuming this one is going to be way crazier at home on the dock. It's going to be more powerful. That's going to be the biggest selling marketing point. They're going to try and have a better at-home experience. And I'm assuming the handheld experience will be more powerful too, but I'm not expecting I guess
much. I get what you're saying, but I feel like I kind of disagree with the way that I guess you framed it. I'm a little disappointed. I mean, Switch 2, sure. I guess it reveals that they believe in the brand, which of course they do. I mean, the Switch is probably their, bread and butter platform outselling just about every recent Nintendo platform. I haven't gone and looked at the numbers in terms of like, there's always that random article that comes out every once in a while, which is like the Super Nintendo is still the best selling, whatever. I mean, who knows? But I think actually the last time that article came out, it was the 3DS was still the most.
Yeah, I want to say it's PS2 or 3DS. I forget which one is actually higher than the other.
Yeah.
But because I think 3DS, it groups all of the versions. So it's like, but
that's fair. I mean, there were 3 or 4 versions of the PS2 as well. So, I mean.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. No, I guess I see what you're saying. Yeah, all right, fair enough. But I forget which one was actually higher. It might have. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's like those two, and then I think the Switch or the Wii, and then the other. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's. I've seen, because this happened Monday, Tuesday.
This week, sometime
this week. I mean, since then, there has basically been every possible take that you could see online that I mean, that's the funny thing about the internet is like on the surface, every take is like reactionary, and then if it's an article or somebody expands upon it, hopefully there's more nuance. And I think in the press arena, usually that is the case. But I think the thing that's funny is, from the fan reaction, I think that usually an area where nuance is lacking, it's basically 2 camps. One is like, okay, well, I'll take any upgraded Switch I can get. Yep. But then there is like a contingent of people who are kind of like, I wish this was a bit more different. Like they took another swing at something.
Oh, interesting.
Which is, I mean, fair, because I think
hasn't been what I've seen so far. My anecdotal 2 camps have been, I'm getting it, I'll get anything new Switch kind of camp, and then I am waiting to see what it does and how much it costs, but not the I wish it was something else. They're just like cautious about what they're going to be buying into, which I think is fair. I am too, so I haven't seen anybody say what you have said.
So you said it, so I want to talk about it. What do you think? So, well, actually, let's just do this really quick. Okay, so reveal trailer. It's really just the design of the console is what they're focused on with this first thing, right? So they highlight a few things. Obviously, it's bigger. That's the first one. They make a point to show it. There's numbers out there. People have like fucking measured the scale of the Switch because they put them side by side in the video.
They do.
People have measured the scale and like, whatever. But I'm just gonna go off what we get in the thing. I mean, they show that it's noticeably bigger.
Yeah,
they show that the screen, much like the OLED Switch, does obviously take, like the original Switch LCD that I think of, the bezels on that fucking thing were huge, even inside of the screen itself, right?
The screen itself.
They do show that
OLED is like fucking, it's like thinner. All fit to the edge, basically.
They do show that they're going more the OLED direction, which they should. Every screen.
Do we know if it's an OLED or we don't know?
We don't know, but I would have to assume at this point. I mean, OLED production has gotten significantly less expensive. But anyway, I mean, there's so many there's so many OLED panels out there these days. They must have been able to source one in the price range that they're looking for, which we'll talk about price in just a second. But they show that by default, they're going with that mostly all black color scheme with the same colors as before, just as accents instead of making up the majority of the Joy-Con, which I think is a smarter choice if you're over 12 years old.
And it'll be cool too to see the different, not that I'm going to get any of these, but I like seeing them, the different versions of the Switch that they'll do. Well, I'm assuming the accents will be different colors on the black or white or whatever they end up. But I'm excited to see what they do with that in the future too.
I'm like watching it again, just kind of as a reminder. And they do, like, industrial design wise, this thing does just look much nicer.
I agree.
Like it feels, I
One of
don't.
my things I've always not liked about the Switch, and maybe this is where you're going with it, is that it feels cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping this doesn't. I'm hoping this feels like a nice piece of tech in my hands, but we'll
Well,
see.
and that was kind of the thing. Was it was like, Nintendo has always embraced its sort of whimsical child oriented branding as like part of its console design. Like it's never really
Yes.
released anything that felt like it was to be taken
Hardcore.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not like they're making like,
This is for the gamers. Like, this is
yeah,
for the family.
sure, whatever. It's just
But
like
it's about vibes, right? Like Xbox marketed towards
yeah.
fucking gamer teens and their Mountain Dews and their Doritos, and
Well, I mean, even
Nintendo
then,
marketed towards the families on the couch with the fucking mom and dad that are casual with the
sure.
kids that are fucking kids, and.
I mean, even then, it was kind of like, if you go back, like let's go back to the 360 era.
Yes.
You had the Wii slash Wii U, I guess, at the end there.
Right.
The Wii U was a little bit sleeker, but even then, the tablet thing felt chunky and meant for children. But
Yes, it's like
but the console itself was actually relatively svelte. I guess for the Wii U, I should bust mine out and take a look at it again because it's been a while. But and then like the PS3 felt like the more grown up piece of technology overall. Like it had that kind of curvy,
yes.
black like piano plastic, shiny
This
design.
is for the people that want the fucking crazy hardware. It's got the Blu-ray drive. It's got something else.
And even the 360, which was a lot of people viewed as like the core hashtag gamer console back then, still looked a bit childish, right? I mean, it looked a little bit silly. I mean, it wasn't. I guess that's been always the thing about like game console design, is that it's a bit over exaggerated. It's a bit silly. That's why, the PS5 people had a lot of issues with it initially, is because it's back to that, oh, it's a bit over exaggerated, it's a bit silly design, but kind of a middle ground maybe between.
And the Xbox is just a black square. It's so fucking funny to me.
Which I kind of like, weirdly, but anyway, I mean, but so the point of all this is just to say that it does feel like they're moving in the black square direction, I guess, as opposed to look at this funny device. Like imagine, I'm a business person. Imagine I'm like traveling and I break this thing out. Like the Switch OLED is a bit, to me, the pretty good design overall, and I think this leans more in that direction, even really better looking in my opinion. They've made some good changes. They make it a point to show that now that it's a bit bigger, obviously the Joy-Cons are a bit bigger, taller. They've extended
like magnet on now or something. It doesn't seem like they slide in or whatever. It's like a
Yep, it just kind of magnetizes to it. They do make it a point to show that in the trailer, although obviously they don't say magnets, but that's been the leak for like the last year, is that it was magnet based.
Yeah.
They do make it a point to show that the shoulder buttons and the triggers have changed a little bit. And I don't know if you've ever done this. I think I've done this like one time. Have you ever done 2-player with like one person holding each Joy-Con?
Yeah.
It does seem like, based on the dimensional change and how much wider these things are, that'll be considerably more functional.
Yes.
They also show it skating around on a desk, kind of implying that you could use it almost as a mouse cursor. Did you notice that?
That wasn't the implication I took from that. I thought it was just fun.
No, I think they wanted to show that you could like, because this was also part of the leak, so it wasn't explicitly in the trailer, but people have been saying that they have, like that Teflon-y material that goes on the bottom of your mouse that allows it to skate around on your mouse pad.
I'm very familiar with Teflon. I use it at work.
Yeah, we don't have to get into work stuff, but I am very familiar with Teflon as well. So I think like there was some speculation out there prior to this reveal in terms of the leaks that the sides of this thing would have some of that material, like the same stuff that's on the bottom of the mouse, to make it easy to skate around. By them showing it in the video, I think they've kind of, to a lot of people, confirmed that you could use it kind of as a mouse.
Okay.
So there is that.
That doesn't
Um,
surprise me just based off of what the Joy-Cons could already do.
yeah,
I just hope that's not like a. It's just one of those things I don't think.
it's
Whatever.
not necessary, right? It's not
Exactly.
necessary.
Like I don't. That's not the thing I'm hoping people really
Hmm.
utilize. So whatever. But yeah.
And in the video, they show it like locking in really tight, as if to say, "Hey, this thing doesn't rattle as much as it used to,"
Please.
which would
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah. I'll
Um,
believe that when I see it. But if
yeah,
the magnets are strong, I have other stuff on gaming related that sticks together with magnets, and they're very strong, and it like works. So when I imagine the Switch, I'm imagining it like that. So hopefully it is a really quality connection, but we'll see.
yeah. And I mean, I think magnet, um, you know, like with especially, I remember when Apple was doing their MagSafe stuff again this most recent time. Like they did it years
Yeah.
ago with the MacBooks. They were doing MagSafe charging for a while, which was a selling point to a lot of people. I think the new version is a lot better, and
Yeah.
they've brought it over to like their phones and stuff with the charging cases on the back, the wallets on the back. Like I do think
Yeah.
there's a way to do this that works. So I'm not
Dude,
too worried about
I
it.
almost got the new standing desk I have. I
Mhm.
almost got a like much more expensive version that had like
A
a
charger.
charging spot on it, and
Yeah.
oh man, it's just so unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean cars have that shit in it now. Like
Oh yeah,
you lay it down on the below the, area and it just charges it. I think that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah, so, design-wise overall, I like this thing. One thing that I found was interesting, we'll just say, overall, I would say pretty minimal design change. They show the dock for like 2 seconds. It doesn't really look, I mean, obviously it's going to be bigger. Hopefully there's a little bit more cooling or, something in there that makes it a bit, because like they are highlighting in the leaks just how different clock speeds are between docked and undocked performance, which
okay,
if they're leaning into that more, I don't know. Like maybe third parties will take advantage of additional docked performance or something like that versus undocked. But it doesn't seem like a Nintendo move to do that. But it is interesting that people are highlighting just the wide gulf between what the clock speed will be docked versus undocked, things like that.
yeah,
Um,
um, yeah. I don't know. I just have like such low expectations that
mhm.
it's like I'm hoping they surprise me.
Yeah,
I feel like I've heard it's going to be as powerful as this. We're
yeah,
expecting it to, be around the like, and it's like, okay, that's all cool. When
yeah,
I think about like, I feel like I hear PS4 and PS4 Pro thrown out around a lot, and it's
yeah.
like,
PS4 Pro, I think, was the standard
and it's
measurement they
like
were using.
the PS4 Pro at the end of its generation was playing some high fidelity games very well. Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, like
Mhm.
et cetera, the Spider-Man games. And I don't expect that from Nintendo, but if I'm getting like let's say a step up from the Switch games on a hardware that could run stuff like that and it's all very well optimized like Nintendo stuff should be, then I mean we might have some cool fucking stuff that looks like Astrobot going around, and that's cool.
I'm going to
But
go hard in the other direction and say I expect PS4 Pro at minimum, because I do think
you
that,
think so?
because I think that, first of all, the PS4 Pro is already 6 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Technology has, I mean, we're kind of at diminishing returns in terms of overall technological, developments or whatever with related to video games. But in terms of like processing power, we're finding,
Oh yeah.
I mean, things are changing. The way they're approaching game development, the way, if you look at anytime new processors are released, they're squeezing a lot of performance out of similar architectures, to what they've done in the past. So I would say, like, I expect, especially if they're going to lean into upscaling like DLSS, I expect a minimum level of performance closer to the PS4 Pro, because in my mind, I feel like the Steam Deck already is about that powerful and pretty outdated feeling
Yeah.
as it is. I mean,
Yeah.
so to me, this needs to be better than that. Um, I think the only reason I say that is because Nintendo is only going to release a platform every 5 to 6 years. if this thing is going to last 5 to 6 years, it needs to be closer to current day technology. And I mean, there's been some leaks that we can kind of circle back to after this. I wanted to stay a little bit with what's in the trailer before we move on to like speculative stuff. But there's been some leaks that are just straight up, here is the PCB of this device. Like, here's the die of this device, and what, based on the measurements of the die and like, you know, what people can see visually, this is what we think it is. And if that stuff is true, it's pretty powerful. So the one thing I think I want to highlight here, and as the I have to sneeze. I talked myself out of it. As the resident Mario Kart expert, Crossley, you're shaking your head.
Are you calling yourself the expert, or are you calling me the expert?
I'm calling you the expert.
Okay, yes, I'll accept that. I was gonna you.
Yeah, no, I hate Mario Kart. As the Mario Kart expert, tell me what you see in this video, because it's pretty clear it's not Mario Kart 8 again.
This is a new Mario Kart. It looks crisp and like it will run well, and I see at least, I mean, it looks like there's going to be more racers at once, based off of, what are you asking me here?
Okay, well, I'm just telling you, you can veto my opinion based on this, but here's what I'm seeing in this. Okay, I'm seeing a couple things. One, I obviously new Mario Kart. I'm seeing open world Mario Kart, almost like the new like Forza Horizon stuff, or like Burnout Paradise. Because there's like other cars on the road. They show that like there's not as many barriers up. Like it looks like a course that would have been like erected in the middle of an open world, you know, like when you start a race in one of those Forza Horizon games, suddenly they start building new barriers, or like they tell you where to go by like giant floating arrows and stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing that makes me like completely sure it's a new Mario Kart is
it's definitely a new Mario Kart. Yeah.
In the screen after, they show, this thing plays Nintendo Switch games
only.
And it shows like it shows that it's backwards compatible, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what they show as that example is Super Mario Wonder and not Mario Kart 8, which they would have done if that's what was being shown, right? Like if it was just new DLC or something. So definitely new Mario Kart.
That was the like you said, Mario Kart expert, I guess, but that was immediately apparent. As soon as I saw it, I was like, they're showing us the new Mario Kart. Like, this is probably a launch title. What else is going to launch with this thing? Like, fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Okay.
I want to know more. But, you know, mostly price and launch titles, I think, are going to be the big ones for me. I think I know deep down, even if it's on the lower end or the higher end, I think I'll be satisfied with the performance based off of what I've read, you know, and what I expect from Nintendo. I think this should run their stuff well through the generation, and that's what I want from it. I don't need much else other than their products to run well. That's what I want. Because we're at a point with the Switch where their products aren't running well anymore, and that bugs the fuck out of me. So that's all I want from it. I'm a pretty simple guy, though. But price will be the big one. Launch titles will be the second big one. We'll see.
Did you so when you saw this trailer, what initially in your mind you were like, this thing is going to be blank price? What's that number? What did you come away with?
In my head, I want to say it'll be 500 max, but I don't know if that's.
They couldn't make it more. I mean, even 500, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it has to be 500 max. Like, if it's actually like OLED screen, maybe has a lot of internal memory, maybe is on the higher end of performance. Like, maybe this is 500 max. And they kind of know what they can get away with, pushing new titles only on the new platform. Holiday season will be coming this year. You know, well, it comes every year, but you know what I mean? Like, this comes out, let's say, middle of the year. The holiday right after that, they have a bunch of games out. People are going to buy the fucking thing if it's 500 or not. So especially competing with the newer stuff from PlayStation, which is 700, or new PCs, which are much more than that. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, we'll see. But I would say 500 tops. I mean, what the OLED is 350. So if we're talking about meeting in the middle, that's crazy, right? So maybe it is just 500 or 450. I don't know.
I'm gonna go.
Or is the OLED 300?
OLED is $299.
Okay. Okay.
I
So maybe it
think.
is like 400.
Let's look.
Do you think that they discontinue Switch One soon?
No.
Okay.
Okay, actually, sorry.
Switch One games.
OLED is let's see. So it looks like from Nintendo full price OLED is $349 actually.
Okay. So this replaced it. They did discontinue Switch OLED. This was a 350.
I think they will they still probably have a lot of Switch Ones in production. I think they'll continue to produce them probably for the remainder of this year.
Okay.
Just as like a budget thing, especially because it's like, hey, if you have little kids, or do you really need to give them the best thing? I mean, they'll probably continue. Maybe Switch OLED will be discontinued, and well, yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on what age kids you're talking about, but yeah. I mean, like maybe they'll continue to make Switch Lights or something, and that be like the new thing you get your 6-year-old.
It feels like a pretty strong. I mean, not that this is unheard of for their other consoles. This is what they always do, but it feels like a pretty strong stance for them that their sequel console games aren't going to be on the Switch One. I am a big fan of that. I think it's a really good stance to take because their new games aren't going to be held back by the old or hardware. But
I mean, I think that was always going to be the case. To be honest, I do think
that's what I'm saying. Is like it's like a breath of fresh air that they're going this direction. They're not going to be like, yes, keep buying the Switch because you can still get the new stuff too. It's like,
sure.
I feel like it's one of my least favorite things about the start of the PS5 generation is like a lot of those new games were held back by the fact that they also needed to be playable on the old hardware, which was bad. And it's a lot of resources going into making sure you have a version playable on that and a version that looks nice and squeaky clean on the new stuff too. It's like, but anyway, the Switch 2 not doing that at all, and they're all focused on the new hardware and new releases on that is very exciting for me.
Sure.
But
yeah, I think I'm thinking this thing is probably max $399. I think $399 is probably just the realistic price point. I mean, that puts it in the territory of something that you could still get a child, but not, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just important for, unless they're going to do like Switch 2 up front for all the weirdo adults, and then like a Switch 2 Lite or a slightly less expensive version, no OLED or something. But I don't think they will. I think it's really just going to be, we're shooting for like a middling price point that can appeal across the board to everybody. And I think that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
So that seems realistic. The problem I'm having right now with just Switch 2 in general is it's what could they do to ensure that the situation that they had with Switch 1 isn't happening again? Like if you remember, I mean, getting a Switch 1 for the first 8 months was like fucking impossible.
Isn't that like their MO though? They like that like artificial scarcity, even if it's real. But I feel like if they could choose one or the other to have an overproduced product or an underproduced one, they would always pick underproduced. Like,
yeah, I just think they have to know already what the demand for this thing is, because they've been plotting this launch so carefully. I mean, they should have really, this thing should have been out, a year and a half to 2 years ago when the new consoles, or when the OLED came out. So I do think it would be, people are fed up with that stuff. People are fed up with like not being able to get a thing that they want and having it be scalped into oblivion by people that, you know, are buying 12 of them at Walmart or whatever. And I think
just I don't know of anything that is really safe from that in tech yet. When it's new and desired, it seems to be hard to get, whether that's the PS5 version of the Switch, Animal Crossing on COVID, fucking GPUs on release. Like, you know, it just kind of happens across the board with desired tech. I don't really know that we'll escape that with the Switch 2 at all, especially if they have some hype releases coming on launch day. I mean,
well, that's what I mean though, is like, it's like the day one adoption fan base should be at minimum the people who get this thing, right? The problem is you have an entire like ecosystem of people who just try to make money off of buying and reselling this stuff.
Yeah,
if you cut that group out, I think there's enough for everyone usually, right? Like, look at the PS5 Pro. Like, I mean, the pricing, you know, being the thing that stopped everybody from buying one realistically, but it's like, and I mean, okay, well, I don't think Sony made a strong enough case for why people should upgrade, to be honest. But anyway,
yeah,
like
the demand's not there.
That's a thing that even though it wasn't that hyped, scalpers still went out and bought a shitload of them and tried to resell them, and then started losing money.
Yeah, this is my point though. Is like this issue exists kind of regardless of Nintendo. You know, it exists just in tech. Period. So I just don't see how Nintendo is going to escape it, especially when they're really hyped product releaser. Like, you know, it's just like the current GPUs, right? Like, there's no reality why I don't expect this to happen with the 50 series. And
I think it is. Because I believe corporations are evil, I do think it is their responsibility to try to find ways around this stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Like, Nintendo should be already talking about, like, if they are a tech company, whether they like to pretend like they are or not, you know, they whatever. But I do think they need to be thinking about how this is going to work at launch, because when the Switch 1 came out, I was 22, I don't know, 23. I was cool with waiting in line outside of a Target at 6 a.m. I'm not doing that.
It's funny how that's like gone now, though. You know, I did that for the Switch 1, and I think that was the last time it'll ever really happen. The PS5 was the closest that almost came to being a thing, and even then, they were all getting bought online. So I was going, like, there was one time I can think of where I actually went to a store and was in a line because they weren't going to sell their in-store copies online that one time for some reason, and it was out of Best Buy. And it was literally like, I was there for 10 minutes before they opened, and there was like 5 people in front of me. As they were opening, they're like, we only got 3, so the rest of us went home. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like totally gone. Now in-store copies go on stock on the website. You know what I mean? It's like pretty, I feel like that is gone. Not, this is kind of a side piece to what you're talking about. To rewind a bit, I just want to say this. I fully agree with you. Nintendo and everyone needs to be more mindful of this thing you're talking about. And if nobody's taking steps in the right direction, it's never going to get better. So somebody has to, and everyone should. So yes, absolutely, I agree that it's a problem, and everyone needs to be mindful of it in the tech world. That being said, I just don't think we're there yet. By the time the Switch 2 is probably going to come out, but I agree with you. Just to be clear, that yes, absolutely, we should be not having to deal with the, I guess, scalper issue, if that's the right term or not, but the demand issue on release.
Just, I think the last thing that we can really talk about with this is, so obviously they
is looking really green all of a sudden.
What's that?
Your room is like really green all of a sudden. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I think it's because it's got a little bit brighter. And this room, by the way, when we moved in, is green. It was painted green.
Oh, okay.
Which is a bad call by whoever made that call. So, yeah.
Looks at Jin.
Yeah. No, well, Jin heard me talking about it and looked at me. So, but yes, the greenness of the walls. It's like a mint. It's not like if you don't think about it, it's
But
not.
do you see what I'm saying on the webcam?
Yeah.
Everything looks like it's glowing right now.
Yeah. I think the lighting got a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
But
anyway, sorry.
I try not to think about how my walls are painted green. So thanks for dredging up that painful memory.
Anytime.
So they did obviously announce that the official broadcast Nintendo Direct for Switch 2 would be on April 2nd, which leads me to believe that most likely this thing will be like first week of May, I guess. Seems realistic.
I have a weird feeling of June.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know. Then if it's not summer, like we're kind of thinking May, June, actual summer, I guess it's got to be end of the year, right? The holiday release thing that consoles like to do. I
don't think they would wait that long. I do really think.
Yeah, that's my vibe too. I think it's like basically ready and they're tired of leaks, as the conversation seems to say. But
I think May, June, totally realistic. Either one. Yeah. I mean, I think if they're going to do the direct and then try to get the consoles out there while the hype from the direct is at its maximum. So to me, 4 weeks seems like enough time. Get everything shipped out to retailers, do the whole thing.
Yeah, and I recall it being a similar deal with the Switch 1. There was like a direct where they showed everything, and then it was like, it's coming in March with Breath of the Wild, and we're like, what? Or like whenever the release date was, but it was like very soon after they had showed everything, and they're like, this is it, and it's coming with Zelda. I feel like it'll be similar here, where they're like, here's everything it is and how much it costs, and it comes with this game, buy it.
Somebody is saying there will be another direct kind of in between now and then to talk about more Switch 1 software, which is kind of interesting timing. I'm curious. I imagine it's a lot of stuff that they just kind of expect people to just play on Switch 2 anyway, based on release date, but it's stuff that was in development already, or whatever.
This is something I've been wondering about, because there is a lot of stuff in development already. Whether that's something we know concretely, like Metroid Prime 4, or something less known, more nebulous, like the Mario Odyssey sequel that I'm assuming is a thing, or whatever 3D Mario they're working on that is obviously going to happen on whatever. But or the next Pokemon that they've been working on since Scarlet Violet, which was like 3 years ago now. That's the longest break for Game Freak, I think, ever. They used to be like yearly, and now it's been 3 years, which is impressive. So is all that Switch 2? Is all that the last hurrah for the Switch 1? Like, I don't really know. We'll see, but I can see it either way. I would almost prefer Metroid Prime 4 to be a Switch 2 exclusive and just be a better product, finger quotes.
Yeah. I mean, that was the funny thing about, I feel like the Metroid Prime original remakes, honestly, were some of the best looking games on Switch and ran really, really well.
It's like almost 60 frames, I feel like.
I think it is. Yeah. I mean, I didn't enjoy playing those games, but I do have to hand it to them.
That remaster was good. I agree.
And then just one last thing. I'm looking at a news story here. Nintendo's share price is at a 52-week high as of 3 days ago, thanks to
that's a year straight, right?
Thanks. Basically. So highest in the last year. Thanks to the Switch 2 reveal, which is pretty interesting. So it seems to be, I think, a safe bet, I guess you would say, from a financial angle, the Switch 2. So, not much to say there, but
happy. Yes.
I guess it's one. Yeah, right. I mean, the shareholders are just like, yeah, cool. More printed money. I mean, whatever. We don't give a fuck. So that's Switch 2. I think, I'll be buying it. I mean, I don't think anybody disagrees with that. I think if I can get one at launch, I will do so. Do you think
the Wii U would have been better if it was the Wii 2.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they learned their lesson from the
Yeah.
Wii U nightmare because most people did not understand, like people who were not plugged into the industry did not know what a Wii U was.
Dude, the worst part is I felt like I was pretty plugged in and it just kind of came out of nowhere and I barely knew what it was. And that's the craziest part to me is that the plugged in man, was like caught off guard by it and not fully informed. It just wasn't marketed well, I guess, right?
No, I did get one.
I did too.
Still have it. Still have it.
No.
I think it's a fascinating platform and will be one of those things. They made so few of them. Like, I mean, obviously they did that initial release, and when it didn't sell at all, they really just stopped making them pretty quickly.
Yep.
I kind of just want to hold on to it for that reason. Like, it's just fascinating. Yep. Like, the Wii U will be that console in 40 years that people are like, you know, whatever the version of the internet is beamed directly into your brain at that point. There will be an article that'll be like, we dug around and found out that Nintendo had a console in between the Wii and the Switch, you know?
It really is a fascinating console. Like, how much did you play around with that, really? Like, actually?
I mean, I was obsessed with its design. I thought the tablet thing was so cool, but I didn't play that many games for it. I just liked turning it on and fucking around with it.
Yeah, like, so, like, its whole, like, little ecosystem, it's like social media network it had made when you like load in, and it's like here's all the little dudes running around and you can upload like art and shit that you draw on the I don't know, it's like that whole thing was so cool, and everything about it regarding like its virtual console, that hardware has like everything that from that point in time, everything that had existed on a previous Nintendo console, like they had on there. They had some 64 games, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, fucking DS games because it had two screens. It had everything. And if I still had mine, B-Paul ended up selling it. We were roommates, but if I still had mine, I mean, my account has like so many classics on it. It is like a classic machine, and then it also had you know, all the new games out there. I don't know. It was a really cool thing.
I think the biggest mistake any company makes is shutting off the online for something, because I do think like that would be a fun thing to revisit in some years, go back and look at like what's available on there that never ended up coming out elsewhere, you know?
Yeah.
Pushmo. Remember Pushmo?
It sounds familiar.
Dude. Pushmo fucked so hard.
I believe it.
Yeah, Pushmo. Puzzle game. Apparently they made one on the 3DS actually, so I guess or maybe it was originally on 3DS and then the one I played was on Wii U. A sequel, Crashmo, was released on the 3DS in 2012. And then a third game, Pushmo World, was released on the Wii U in 2014. That's what I played. Pushmo World, dude. Sick ass fucking game. Who made this? Nope. Yeah, Nintendo and Intelligent Systems. Intelligent Systems made Fire Emblem. Then they made Pushmo.
Fucking sick, dude.
Yeah.
Kino.
Yeah.
So
did they also make Advance Wars? I guess they did.
The original or the
original
Re-Wars?
I don't know who did the remake, but I was playing that recently. Actually, the remake. I was going through the second game and being like, God, these games are so good, but so fucking maddening sometimes. Anyway, just difficulty spikes. Like Mission 10 was like having me pull my hair out, and then Mission 11 was like a guy who just got out of the ICU for brain-related traumas would beat it on the first try, you know? But anyway, yeah, man, what a fucking time. I think they're so overdue for this fucking Switch 2 thing that people are just going to be losing their shit. Okay, I have one more piece of news that I just wanted to throw out here, because we're as everybody as the dedicated Infinite Scale fans. By the way, we're now from now on we're Infinite Scale 2. following on from the Switch 2. We are now Infinite Scale 2 moving forward, so look forward to that.
Not Infinite Scale U?
No, people would be confused by the branding. So
yeah, even though
people, longtime fans of the Infinite Scale 2 will know that we are Hidetaka Miyazaki stands.
Sometimes I wonder.
Do you know what I'm about to say? You know what
go ahead.
You know what I'm
please.
getting at? Okay. No. I think so this is interesting. There was a story out where did you see so the former president of PlayStation, Shuhei Yoshida,
yes,
made that comment about about Bloodborne.
Of course, I saw this.
Where he said that he thinks the reason
makes sense, right?
It does. I mean, it makes total sense. But having someone confirm it is a different thing. But
yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is Miyazaki. Very recently, I can't remember when or what, around the DLC, some interview saying he was interested in making it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that he wasn't the reason it wasn't being made, which the implications there, whatever, maybe translation, blah, blah, blah. But regardless, it's interesting that it's almost like he's pointing his finger like, I'm not the reason. And then,
well, I mean, I think
Yoshida's like, he could if he could, he would if he could, but what is he really just busy? Maybe, but
I think okay, on a simple level, obviously there's always business. Like, assume in the background of any basic interview, as much as anyone can talk about, there's about 300% more business complications in the background that make this not just, I want to do it, but this guy doesn't want to do it, or I want to do it, but they're not letting me do it. Like all this shit. I mean, there's so much, but the reality is like, I'll just read the quote. Yoshida says, I only have my personal theory for that situation. I left first party development, so I don't know what's going on. But my theory is, because I remember Miyazaki really loved Bloodborne and what he created. I think he's interested in bringing it back, but he is so successful and so busy. He can't do it himself, but he doesn't want anyone else to touch it. That's my theory. Yes. The PlayStation team respect his wish. That's my guess. Yes. I'm not revealing any secret information. So I think... And in this article on Video Games Chronicle, they go on to say, speaking last summer, From Software president Miyazaki said he'd, quote, love more players to be able to enjoy Bloodborne, end quote, but he wouldn't be drawn on the potential of a remaster or a PC version actually happening, meaning he didn't really make any kind of comment on that. I think... yeah, he literally says, so, quote, this is Miyazaki's quote in this little article right up. He says, I know for a fact these guys want a Bloodborne PC port, he said, referring to From Software producer Yasuhiro Kitao and interpreter Bobby Simpson. If I say I want one, I'll get in trouble as well, but it's nothing I'm opposed to. So I think, like, to be honest, Yoshida's comment makes a lot of sense to me, because it's basically... From Software wants to be in control of this. So that presents basically two things up front that have to be negotiated. One, how much is Sony going to fund this? Two, how much control will Sony give From Software over this? And if it's basically total control, that's fine. But I do think Sony, at this point in how much it costs to make games, Sony is looking at it from an investment perspective. So it's like, okay, well, if we're going to give From Software a bunch of money, what do we want them to be doing? The answer is Bloodborne 2. The answer is not, we want them to spend an assload of money remastering or remaking Bloodborne 1.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, though, that this discussion is happening at all, given the Demon's Souls remake happened basically completely independently of From Software. Is it because they don't care as much about Demon's Souls? Is it because,
I think the assumption there would be Miyazaki is like, I don't care, or whoever, like you said, like Bloodborne is very special and important to him. Maybe Demon Souls was more throwaway, the stepping stone to the next thing. Y'all go ahead. I don't care as much about that. If y'all were
Sure.
to somehow botch it, I wouldn't be upset. Like maybe that's kind of the story there, but who knows?
Yeah.
My thoughts. Um,
Before we move on from that point, I want to say that also it could be that for whatever reason, From Software didn't like how the Bloodborne or how the Demon Souls remake turned out.
Anyway.
Anyway.
My thoughts based on another thing Yoshida said in that same interview. I forget what the question was, but it was basically something like, do y'all feel Sony is more, we want y'all to do this for us, not specifically From Software, just in general. Do y'all think, Sony is more do this for us or do what y'all are passionate about? And it is definitely the latter. So I think current state for the, where From Software is at and where Sony is at, it would seem to me that post Elden Ring success, I'm sure Sony is like, whenever y'all are ready, Bloodborne 2. And, we trust y'all will make a good product. Pre Elden Ring success, it's maybe hard to say if they even have faith in the numbers, like you're saying, the more business side of it, the numbers that a FromSoft game could even bring. But post Elden Ring, the numbers are blatantly good. And I think the hype that has been like bubbling for Bloodborne is palpable. It's like you can taste it in the air at this point. Even if Bloodborne didn't do very well, it's like post-release success from resell copies and stuff like that, and it's like cult following is undeniable. So
the only reason people fervor after Bloodborne so much, I mean, it is a good game, but it represents a point in their catalog that is kind of a low point where it's a game that performs pretty poorly on its base platform and never received really any updates to address that. Like, that's really the only reason.
That's true.
If I think people would be happy if they even just did a patch for it for the PS5, right? I mean, it doesn't even need to be a remake or a remaster. Nobody's saying Bloodborne needs to look better. Everybody's just saying, I just want to be able to play it without gouging my fucking eyes out.
Yes.
Like, because the frame pacing and frame rate drops are poor.
That is very true. And the interesting part of that is, and I think we kind of know this on some level, even if I don't really know that we actually say it out loud much, but I feel like this is just a blatantly known thing that if we ever do get the official announcement of the remaster for PS5, the fucking PS5 patch, the PC port, any of those things or something similar to that, that is the clear sign that somewhere internally they are now doing production on Bloodborne 2, because the remaster is always to generate the hype or the interest in the next product, because it is a cheaper thing to make almost always than an actually new product, and it can generate the future interest in the actual new product that you want to sell. Anytime I see a remaster, I'm like, this is them either trying to fish for interest for the new one or to help generate interest for the new one.
Sure.
So I feel like the fact that the PC fan-made port thing hasn't been shut down is a clear indication that they're not working on any of that yet, because they'll fucking shut that down as soon as they have their own version that they're working on in terms of a remaster or something.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, again, it continues to be the thing that is the most confusing about business decisions is there's obviously a demand for it. I mean, they could ruin that goodwill by really fucking it up. So I think they're being very careful about it, which is smart. But like, on the other hand, how there must be, because of the fact that it hasn't been done yet, there must be something so catastrophically wrong with the code base in there that it would be a huge pain in the ass to just patch it to be better. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
About that, right? That it fundamentally something about how they designed it at the start, they were not forward thinking about wanting to then break the 30 FPS lock. And
even Dark Souls 1 has gotten a patch, like an up-resed version that's basically the same game. They just fixed all the technical hurdles. That game got it, and that game was way more fucked up than Bloodborne ever was, in my opinion. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's just weird stuff going
I
on.
rewind to the it will happen as soon as they're ready to generate interest for the sequel, honestly, is when we'll get the fixed Bloodborne 1.
But they don't need to generate interest for the sequel. Anything at this point, because of Elden Ring, anything that From Software has their name on will be...
I agree with you. Hyped. I just think this is how it will work. This is Sony's MO always, it feels like, is when they want to actually put the resources into the remaster is when they're going to be trying to generate interest for the next thing. It just, it always seems like their MO if they're gonna do it. They don't always remaster their old stuff. There's plenty of stuff that hasn't been, and then there's plenty of stuff that gets remastered all the time, like Last of Us.
Yeah, it's true. God, I can't even believe I forgot that Last of Us 2 never came out on PC, and that's just now about to happen.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Every time I see like a trailer or announcement for that, I'm like, that game's fucking already out, you guys. What are we doing?
I know.
And then it's not. Okay, that's all I had. News wise,
only thing I would otherwise want to talk about, and we don't even really have to, but it's the only other thing on my mind is I got a new setup. Your boy is fucking pogged out. I ended up having to get the Fractal North XL.
What?
So this is a massive. Yeah, the shit wouldn't fit.
What wouldn't fit?
Any of it. I guess the normal is just smaller. It's like this is barely bigger than my Fractal. Fuck, what was it? The thing I had before.
You had the Meshify.
Torrent.
Or Torrent. That's right. Torrent.
Yeah. This is barely bigger than the Torrent I had. It is.
What?
It is definitely bigger than the Torrent I had, but it's barely bigger than the Torrent I had. So I think it's just the GPU, if I recall correctly, is the thing that was holding back the original size. Or the normal size. Anyway.
You had the regular Torrent, right? Not the Torrent Compact or the Nano.
Yeah. I had the regular. Yeah, I'm almost positive. Maybe I had the...
It's a pretty big case. I think
it's the regular.
It's a pretty big case. Really? Wow. I didn't realize the North was that small. Whatever. We don't need to litigate this, but that is very crazy.
This thing is huge. Just it makes the PS5, which is kind of near it on my entertainment center. Next to it, it makes the PS5 look small by comparison, and it's so fucking funny to me because I remember when I got the PS5, I was like, this thing is ridiculously fucking obtuse, like just a big bulky piece of tech in my room, and now this is like towering.
That's crazy.
But I like it a lot. All the bells and whistles, really. Got a new mechanical keyboard that's silent.
Did the
standing desk? OLED. Yeah, what's up?
How did you so you bought a North and then you realized that nothing was going to fit? Is that what happened?
No, I'll tell you exactly what I did, and you're probably not going to like this. But I used a service that was going to just put it all together for me and ship it to me. Other than the GPU, which can't be shipped in it, but so they were the ones saying it wouldn't.
Huh. Okay. That's fine. I mean, I don't care. You can do whatever you want, but that's shocking to me. I was going to look at the dimensions just out of curiosity and see. I may still do that. Also, PC Part Picker has a built-in compatibility thing, so if your case wouldn't fit your components, it would tell you.
Yeah. That's basically what it was doing. The stuff I wanted, I'm almost positive it was the GPU, and it would be funny if I was just wrong, but the stuff I wanted either way didn't fit in the case unless I got the XL.
Crazy. Yeah, it could be just a combination, like if you were doing like a water cooler for your CPU, that plus GPU might not fit. Those kinds of things are always factors, but I mean, I have not run into like everything's tight these days for sure. Like cables crammed into my case. Like the GPU at least has plenty of headroom, but it's pretty easy to see how that could go away quickly. Especially if I had like a water cooled radiator, that kind of thing, like all that stuff. But yeah, that is fascinating. I really hadn't even considered that as a possibility. So my mind is just a bit blown. Did you get the mesh side or the tempered glass side?
The mesh.
Thank God, dude.
I mean, It's all, I don't see how it could fit in a smaller case. Like this thing is fucking
Really?
like there's room, but it's not room where stuff would go. Like this is the open space above the GPU where like there just is open space where the water cooling and RAM is and stuff. But
Do
there's
you have
no,
do you
like, I
have a
don't see how
radiator
it's
in the
small.
front? Do you have a radiator in the front or no? You don't know. It's fine.
The water cooling?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's right there. What do you mean by the front? That's what's confusing me.
Where
Like,
the intake
what
is,
it-
where the behind the wood paneling is that where they put the radiator? So they put, which is standard. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. It's either there or at the top.
It's right.
Okay, I'm getting a view. I'm getting a view here. The
It's
blur is on.
it's right there.
Got to turn the
It's
blur
the
off.
fucking filter. I know. Hold on.
But I think I see the tubing. I
Yeah,
think I
that's
see
it above the GPU. So that's the side, you know. So I don't think that's the front, but maybe I am not understanding what you mean by
That
the
is
front.
the front.
Oh, okay.
Because it's where the wood paneling is, right?
No, the wood paneling is on the front.
Okay, well then I couldn't tell. I couldn't see it.
So
Yeah.
let me get rid of the filter. No filter. Come over here.
I'm interested in this.
This is the side.
Now I'm really fascinated.
So that's the mesh. The wood would be
Yeah,
right
but
here.
do you see where the tubing is going?
Oh, yeah. So that's what I was asking. Is like, are you talking about that? Or,
No.
okay.
No.
I see what you're saying.
So the radiator, so the thing that
Right.
basically,
Yes, I
the
see.
water cycles through all that. It goes into the radiator, which is at the
Right.
front. Then your fans are in front of the radiator. They're pulling cool air
Right.
in from the
Right.
outside.
It seems like an AC
Blowing
unit,
across
dude. It
the-
is cold. There's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
cold air just shooting out of it
That's
constantly.
awesome. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's-
Okay, so that explains it, because then it does say here that
So is the cooling system.
well, yeah, so you have the front radiator, which is probably it could be a 420, but it's probably a 360.
I think I have a 360. Yeah.
And then so you probably didn't have enough room for the GPU in the front. So that would make sense. Yeah. Interesting. That's cool. Yeah. I do air cooling. So because I gave up on that the last time even when I switched to the Meshify, I didn't have enough room in the front for my radiator. So I switched to air cooling. I made that choice.
I think either is fine. I just
Yeah.
went with this because I was
Look at that cat, dude.
trying to min max. Yeah, I know, right? Adorable. I was just trying to
Amazing.
min max it, and I had
Yeah.
the ability to go big. And it seems, I mean, like I said, I think both are fine, but it seems like the water is, I guess, marginally better if you're trying to min max the cooling. So it's like, yeah, that's fine. But
Yep.
my last one was air, and it never got hot ever.
Yeah.
And I would, it was outdated, and I would pump the fucking gas on it and push it to its limit, and it never got hot. It would just not do what it couldn't do. Like I can't.
Yeah. I think
stuff in full ray tracing on that, but
it's the idea that anyone would buy a case that's not fractal at this point is like beyond
Dude, I know, right?
comprehension to me. I mean, I'm not even really like, I've had fractal cases in the past. The one before this I had was fractal, but then, I went on a tear there for a while where I was buying non-fractal cases for some years. I never did get on the NZXT bandwagon, and I'm kind of glad now because they're people are shitting on them pretty incessantly for their terrible business practices. But
it's like one of those brands that I feel like when they started out, the bang for your buck was undeniable, and then it's like the price. It's like they're trying to be Razer or something, and it's like, okay, y'all aren't Razer quality. You know what I mean? Like y'all can't suddenly.
I think they are trying to be Razer because they also got bought by a private equity firm who's now running their product quality and build design into the ground. So
that's my thing. Is like for me, Razer. I'm not going to pretend like they're my favorite brand, but I do make quality products, and it's like if I had one of their mouses, I would really like it, and it would work very well. I have one of their webcams right now, and it works just fine. But
I just noticed that Fractal is releasing a gaming headset soon. So maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe they too are going to try to become like another Razer fucking lifestyle brand or something.
Well, if they make quality products, and that's the difference. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're
NZXT, it's like, okay, when y'all started out, it was like, I know what I'm buying into. I'm paying less and I'm getting less than Razer, where I'm paying more and getting what I'm paying for. Same with Fractal. It's like I'm buying into a quality product. So if they make a new fucking headset, as long as it's still good, fuck yeah. But if they're going to cut resources across the board to make a new product, then fuck that. But
Yeah, you're
I don't
right.
know. I have faith for now. We'll see. Cautious optimism.
I didn't even know they were making power supplies and stuff. That's pretty interesting.
I didn't know
Anyway,
that either.
so cool. Well, yeah, I'm glad you got your new PC set up because I mean it's a good time I think to be
It is
doing.
time.
Did you go with the new AMD CPU? Did you get the
I got the what is it, 78X
7800?
3D?
Okay, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
I'm almost positive that's what I got. I can't remember if I got. Honestly, yeah, no, I can't remember if I got one of the Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 9, but one of the X3Ds or 3XDs or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember which one now. Fuck. But yeah, I did that. I got what else matters? I don't know. What's the other thing? Oh, that's not GPU or CPU. I don't know. Anyway,
There's a lot of things.
I'm satisfied. Yeah, there's a lot of things, but I'm
Cool.
overall pretty satisfied.
Good.
The monitor is life-changingly amazing. This is
Yeah.
probably my favorite part of everything. Is having a new display.
Yeah, it's definitely the thing you notice the most immediately when you go from not an amazing display. I mean, just the change from LCD to OLED is noticeable. But especially if you were running, because I think you were at 1080p before. Now you're at 1440p.
No, I was at 14. I had a IPS 1440 monitor before. It's just
gotcha.
This is just a nicer screen, basically. Like even that monitor, which I liked, my 27-inch dual monitor display I had going on, but I liked. But ever since I've got that monitor, I've always felt like the screen quality wasn't what I wanted, you know? Because I've always had really nice TVs and just like really crisp, big displays. And it's like a little 27-inch right in front of me. Like, I don't know. It's just not how I'm fucking bougie as shit. So this is way more my speed.
Mm-hmm.
Just fat, fucking good, glossy beauty in my face.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, dude, same.
Getting new hardware is always exciting, especially if it's been a while. So I think when I rebuilt
from like the 2060, I still have your 3080 in my closet. Went from like the 2060 Super or Ti or whatever it was to this. So huge upgrade.
What did they put in there?
What do I have now?
Yeah.
I have a 4080 Super.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, you please sell that 3080. I cannot believe you held on to that this long.
I did you a favor. I just gave you
legit did, and I appreciate it. But I thought we were doing each other a favor at the time, so I kind of feel.
Oh, is that what you thought? I always thought I was just doing you a favor.
I appreciate it. I thought that you wanted it.
I mean, I did want it.
Yeah.
But I was also of the mind I'd be able to just plug and play and get an easy upgrade. Once I found out I'd have to basically get a whole new CPU and stuff, then it's like, okay, well, fuck, now I'm just going to wait. And that's exactly what I did. But
well, I didn't know you would have to do that. I think it was just that it didn't fit in the case, right? Or what was the deal?
No, it didn't fit. The thing I had was a pre-built I had bought from Gabe.
Oh.
So it had a proprietary motherboard that wasn't set up in an intuitive way whatsoever. So the cords from what was it? I can't remember now. The cords from something else went where the end of the 2060 was. So the 3080 was longer and went over where that cord from something else was plugging in because it was designed for that 2060, which is smaller. So I literally would have had to get a whole new motherboard for it to slot. I see. And I just was like, if I get a new motherboard, I'll have to get a new CPU because those were fused together, and I didn't want to get a new CPU, and I didn't want to get a new case to fit all of that, and so I waited, and now here we are.
I did not realize that it was going to be that big of a thing, so that's my bad at the
time.
No,
neither of us did until I bought it. I thought it was going to fit. And it almost did. It was a close fit. It just didn't.
That's fucking brutal.
Either way, though, at the time, I feel like we were both aware that was a crazy price, and I just was willing to pay it to help you out because you were buying into the new thing, and I was, under the impression I could easily upgrade. So it was like, but the price was ridiculous. Not as a criticism. It's just, I feel like we both knew I was willing to pay. That was retail, dude. Price.
That was retail.
Oh, it wasn't.
Nope. That was just what it what I paid for it, like legitimately. I mean, it
I
was
knew that's what you paid for it. I just like
nope. I bought
figured,
it. So
you
that
know,
I was actually
I knew you didn't like upcharge me or anything like that. I mean,
no.
the fact that I was willing to pay it, you know, instead of just wait and be patient was like silly on my part, and I knew that is what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, no. So I had a program where basically I had been like all of my graphics cards had been EVGA. So
mhm.
because I was already a customer, they had what they called the like VIP program or whatever. I'd
Yeah,
bought basically everything from like 970 up was EVGA. And so they would email me prior to a thing going on sale and saying, "We're giving you the first chance to buy this at retail price. You just commit right now." And so I would
yeah,
always just be like, "Yeah, whatever."
yeah.
So,
Fuck it.
but they don't make graphics cards anymore, famously, because them and Nvidia had a big falling out about pricing. But
Mm,
their 3080, the one that you have, is like the highest at the time. It was the highest end 3080
yes.
bracket. It was the For the Win
All right.
3. It was like the super. So it was just the most expensive 3080, basically.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and
like
yeah,
what they were showing Cyberpunk on and everything. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that was so. Sorry. I mean, I thought that I was
no,
just
no,
like,
no.
oh, this is a cool thing for both of us. Like, you get a
It's just
graphics
like
card, and I get
a
a.
funny, yeah, no, and that's exactly, you know, I just it's funny that era, like looking
Yeah,
back on it, where it's like even my perception, and I'm sure it was kind of similar. My perception was, fuck, I don't know when I'll be able to get a graphics card again for this price. It could be
totally.
worse in a month, or
Yeah,
maybe
totally.
if I wait, it could be better. But the perception at the time is you don't know. Like
Yeah,
graphics cards
that
could be
was the other
2K in a couple
thing.
months. Like you just don't know. So I was like,
Yep.
fuck it, I'll buy it because
That was
you
the
know,
only reason I was upgrading, was because it was like, I have
yes,
another chance to get one through EVGA again.
right,
I'm going to get, whatever. I think it was the 3090 at that point, or whatever had just come out after that.
right. I can't
Um,
remember either. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's, that's so funny. Yeah. I
yeah. It
mean,
was quite a time to be alive.
uh, the I think the place that we're in now with graphics cards is pretty good. Where when stuff, I
I
mean,
think
I
so.
get what you're saying. Like stuff is generally still hard to get, but like the 40 series, I don't remember selling out in any like. I didn't get one at launch, but I got one maybe a couple months after and was totally happy like with that process. Like I think I just bought it from Best Buy or something and got it. So yeah, it was, and this
Well, so
time,
you're talking about what I was saying earlier with like demand and stuff.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that will happen. Like the hype wasn't really there for that product, but I'm sure people did. There is some group of people out there that was like, we're going to fucking buy these
I
just in
think so.
case.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
it's just the demand wasn't there to make it sell out like that. But I think
Yeah.
it's going to happen with the 5060. I think all the
Really?
conversation
Hmm.
surrounding that, yeah, dude, the normies don't know.
Yeah,
They would
maybe.
literally think the 5060 is going to be better than the 4090 and half the price or like a fraction of the price or whatever. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they don't know. Like, and even if the performance is really good for the price, and that is true, the conversation around the 5060 is like absurd and really ignorant. And
Hmm.
I do think it's going to happen with that one specifically. And it'll be
Interesting.
funny to see, you know, how that does play out. But I think there's like a crazy amount of hype surrounding that one because of the price point and the misconception of performance happening with the conversation in those too. But
Huh.
anyway,
Yeah, I didn't really keep up with that. I know a lot of people are initially everybody was pretty disappointed in the reveal and they weren't super impressed, especially at the high end, the like 50, 80, 50, 90.
right.
Um, but as of I think 2 days ago or something, performance leaks are coming out that are suggesting that its baseline performance is actually a pretty big improvement. But I think for me, it doesn't really make sense. So I will not be upgrading.
Yeah.
But I think for if some people, especially if you're like, I would say every 2 generations, if you want to be top end, every 2 generations is a decent reason to upgrade for sure. Especially with the
Stay
way that they
relevant,
can.
basically. It's like you want to stay relevant with the stuff you're doing in
Right.
gaming. Yeah. Skip
Right.
a generation. You'll probably still be good.
Yeah. But uh, cool, man. Well, I think think we can call it there. There's not much else going on. I would say let's talk about what we're playing, but I imagine most of it is related to Game of the Year talk. So we can hold off. Yeah, fair. But still, I think most of what's I'm just desperately trying to finish up things so I can talk about them.
Yeah, me too. This will definitely be a thing where I wasn't able to finish as much as I wanted to, but it's okay. I played a lot of things and we'll still have plenty to talk about, but I definitely wish like I could have finished a few other stuff. It's just
yeah, I mean, for me, I was like, maybe I'll have Indiana Jones done. That game's pretty long, so I don't think I will, but I also
it's not fun. No.
I see this so funny because I disagree so much on that. Like, I think it's amazing.
There's a part of me that really wishes I could stick with it a little more and maybe I could get there, but just like the opening couple hours, I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And maybe that's a me thing, but I just don't. I don't want to do this. I'm having fun watching the thing more than I'm having fun doing the thing. Yeah. And that's when I'm like, fuck, dude, I could go watch Indiana Jones right now, but I don't want to play this video game like at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I will say it's probably worth watching a stream of it at least, because so far I think I'm at a part where I feel like the story is picking up some steam. Like early on, I was interested. I was like, okay, well, it's pretty bog standard stuff. I mean, obviously the first hour is just Indiana Jones, like, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Literally. Yeah. I mean, they did that intentionally. Like, it's the beginning of Raiders. And I thought that was really cool. And then, some of the early stuff with the story was okay, but by the midpoint in the Vatican, things start opening up in a way that you're like, okay, they're really pulling out all the stops here. This is pretty interesting. I like the main villain, who I think they introduce pretty late, but it's cool when they do. There's been some good stuff around him. I mean, one could argue the main villain is Hitler, but I mean, he's not in it. And that I'm aware of, anyway.
So is it like their version of Hitler, and Hitler's not real in this universe, or
no? Hitler. I mean, the thing like Mussolini is in it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Like. Okay. I mean,
I was just trying to understand what you were saying.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, like the Nazi guy who's doing all this is like super Hitler dedicated. Yes, you know what I mean? Gotcha. So like he's working on behalf of Hitler, but and there's like notes from Hitler in the game. Yeah. Like you find notes that are like signed Adolf Hitler, and you're like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
but it's pretty funny. I like it. I think it's a really good game. But I've actually gotten sucked back into Stalker 2, which I think is more fun for me. It could be. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. It's probably not, but it is really good. If that game worked better, there's a real argument. There's a real argument to be said that if that game was fully functional, that it's the best game of the year. But anyway, all right, that'll do it.
When's D&D?
3 p.m.
How far is that from now?
Like an hour. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we'll jump over and see what's going on.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.